Yeah, and I think a big thing for me that I recognize is that, like you said, with lactose intolerance, is that people don't have the enzymes to break down pasteurized milk because we're killing the enzymes in pasteurization. Where if we actually just let nature do its thing, it gives us the enzymes to break down that food.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have you guys dive into pasteurization and kind of the I mean, a little background before you guys dive into that. I understand why we pasteurize milk because if you're doing it on a massive scale, you don't want to get sick because you don't want to get sued. And
Mhm.
I get that. But at the end of the day, sometimes we gotta put health over money. So I'd love to have you dive into the benefits or the not so benefits of pasteurization.
Mhm. Well, we joke around, and there's a term we heard somewhere that pretty much sums up like God didn't mess up when He made milk,
Right.
so we do all this extra stuff to it, and yeah, so pretty much, yeah, pasteurization is the process of heating the milk up to a very high temperature for a certain period of time to kill off all the dangerous, big air quotes around that,
Yeah.
enzymes, bacteria, stuff like that. And exactly what you're talking about. One of the main things it kills off is lactase, which is an enzyme in the milk, naturally in the milk, already there. Interesting how nature figured that one out. That is designed for you to break down the lactose, which is also in the milk. And when you pasteurize it, what happens is the lactase dies. So now you're just left with the lactose, but you don't have that natural, like God given enzyme to break it down. So now everyone thinks milk is the problem when really we've just artificially, removed it. And then the really hilarious thing is then now what they'll do is go and
Oh
make
my God.
artificial lactase, put that back in. So you just do this whole completely unnecessary thing. Not to mention
Yeah.
all the, in addition to the enzymes or the lactase, all the other just bacteria and stuff
Yeah.
that
Right. Right. Right.
completely get nuked.
And when we started pasteurizing milk in the late 1800s, right? And back then, if you read like what a lot of mainstream scientists were saying, um, they were really trying to work against nature. Like that was their thing, was to fight against nature. We're going to conquer nature.
Mm,
We were going out west. America was going out west. We had this manifest destiny kind of attitude in our just like the psyche of America. So we didn't want to work with nature. We wanted to conquer it. We wanted to civilize the wild west. We wanted to civilize it, and part of that, medicine and everything else aside, nutritionally, we wanted to conquer the milk to feed as many possible people as we possibly can. And you can question their intentions, whether they actually had good intentions or they're evil or whatever.
right.
That's for a whole nother topic. But that was the main thing, is to conquer nature. And now we're kind of getting back to maybe working with nature is how
Mhm.
we should do this.
And a point you made too, that I think is good is like, yeah, if you do things on a massive scale and you're going to be shipping milk like literally all over the world, right, to sell,
Mm.
then you do have to pasteurize. But then that makes you ask the question, okay, is the problem the fact that the milk can't stay good that long, or is the problem that you want to do everything on a
Yeah.
massive scale?
Right.
And now we're starting to see that the whole argument of feeding the world that can only be done on a massive scale is like couldn't be more backwards. And now I think people are starting to wake up. The only way you can feed the world is if people get connected to where their food comes from. And let me tell you something, like the milk you buy in the store, you are not connected to. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who or where that came from. So
In all honesty, it probably came from, I'd say, minimum 5 to 10 different states. A jug of pasteurized milk, because it all
gets
goes thrown
mixed in.
together.
Yeah.
It's mixed all over the place, so it's impossible to track down if you were to get sick from pasteurized milk.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible to track it down.
Yeah.
And that's one thing a lot of people say when maybe they're thinking about trying raw milk. They're like, well, what if I get sick? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing. And I promise you, the guy down the street with a couple dairy cows cares so much more about keeping that food safe
Mm-hmm.
than think about how many E. coli breakouts there are with big lettuce farms or spinach, leafy greens. They track it down. They track down to the general area. Then those guys pay a small fine, comparatively to their income, pay a small fine, and then they don't think about it, even though they may have killed 10, 20 people.
Right.
But if you can track down that you got sick from the neighbor down the street's raw milk, that's the end of his business. He is over.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to quit his job farming, probably move into town or something. So I promise people, when they go to buy milk from down the street, that guy cares about your health, an infinite amount of times more than
Mhm.
some place in, I don't know, California, Oregon,
Yep.
wherever you might get it from, alternatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.